Okay, so good evening, guys. So I hope you have been good. So before we start, just one person. Probably I'll just allow Emmanuel Ikichku. Yeah. So far, how far? How has Android been? Is it what you expected? Is it what you didn't expect? Is it too much, or what's just you alone? Maybe towards the end, I'll give other people the time to talk. So how has it been so far?
Okay. Android has been, should I say, I've been extremely pleased with how far we've gone because to me, this is a 4 month course, yeah, but we are not even up to 2 months yet, and I feel I've already started getting the grasp of the Android development itself. At least now I can sit and create some apps on my own using all the things that we've been taught in different classes. So it's well above my expectation, really.
Okay, that's actually cool. That's nice to hear. Okay, so thank you very much, Emmanuel. So today we're actually going to dive a bit deeper into Android development. And the last time we actually talked about lists in Kotlin. Okay, so we were able to play around with a whole lot of things. Okay, so we will get back into it, but before then, we're going to dive into Android a bit, and we're going to be looking at recycler views. Okay, we're going to try to apply what we have learned so far, okay, into building an actual application where we can display a list of data. So I'm going to be sharing my screen. Then let's kick this off. Okay, so I believe you can see my Android Studio. Confirm if you can.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, good. So if before we actually go on, you can actually think about it. Okay, almost every app has at least one list. Okay, almost every app actually has at least one list. Okay, your phone, your contacts app is a list. Your favorite social media app, most applications, if not all, display lists of what data. Okay, so to actually help us build and build an application and display list of data, we'll actually use what Android provides. Android provides what we call a recycler view. Okay, it has actually it was designed to be very efficient, even with large lists of data. Okay, and its concept is that it reuses, or as the word goes, recycles the views, okay, that have been scrolled off the screen. Okay, so when a list item is actually scrolled off, okay, the recycler view actually reuses that view for the next list item that's about to be displayed. So it does not really create a new view. Okay, it actually just reuses that same view. It merely goes off the screen. Okay, it reuses it and puts in the new data that should be what's displayed. So this just means that the item is actually filled with new content, okay, that scrolls onto onto the screen. Okay, so this actually saves a lot of processing time, and it actually just helps your list to scroll more easily. And we're actually going to get to see how that actually works. Okay, so not going to talk much, just go straight into implementing it. Okay, so let's do a bit of design. So on my activity main.xml, okay, I want to check. So we already have a recycler view, so we don't need to add certain dependencies and the rest, or do we? So let me just take this out. We don't need the hello world. Okay, so the next thing is, but before that, I want us to set up a list of data. Okay, before we start, let us set up a list of data. What are we going to display? So by the way, this app is going to be called Motivate. Okay, we're just going to be displaying a list of motivational quotes, just talks actually, so you can implement it your own way. Okay, so we're going to create a list of data. What are the texts? What are the list of motivational quotes or statements that we would want to display in our application? Okay, so we're going to go to our resource folder, and then values, and then strings. Okay, so this is where we're actually going to impute our motivations. Okay, if I'm going to use that. So I'm just going to come here. So this is basically it. Just I'm going to say string and then the name. So let me call this motivate on the, okay, let me just say motivate 1. Okay, and then so I kind of have a list already here. So I'm just going to copy that and just, paste them. So I'm going to have this. Okay, so let me duplicate this. So you do that by, pressing Control D. So I think maybe this is enough. So motivate 2. Then we have, take this. So I can say, let's say, I believe in myself. Okay, so we can actually, wouldn't be a bad idea to add a full stop. Okay, and then let's add this. Okay, and then we have this. And we have, I could have actually just created this before now, but I just wanted you guys to see how this whole comes together. So, okay, so let's just let me just add some here. The day is good for me, and then the last one. Okay, so yeah, I will make more money. Yeah, that's a very good thing to tell myself. Okay, so make the names different, 4, and then 5, then 6, then 7, and then 8. Okay, so we have 8 motivational statements, okay, that we're going to be making use of. Okay, so now what am I going to do? So now I've actually added my string resources. So basically this is just going to help me reference them in my code by saying r.string.motivate1, r.string.motivate2, and the rest. So now we need to start using them. But before then, I want us to actually build this application in a more organized manner. And I'm going to actually now bring us, we'll get to talk about creating a package. Okay, so one thing is this: organizing your code actually helps you and every other developer who would actually go to your code to understand, maintain, and also extend it. Okay, just like you organize your files, your folders, and the rest, you also need to organize your code. So we're going to be creating a package. Okay, so for some of us that's hearing package for the first time, so this is basically it. So just file, new. You can see we have okay, so Kotlin class, and then this. Okay, so I'm going to do this right here. Okay, new and good package. Okay, so just on the file, on this com.example.motivate, I'm just going to right click and then new, and then we have package. Okay, so so looking at this now, could like, okay, what is all this? Like, what is this? Okay, so basically, let me just say a package you can actually name your package anything. So packages are just they are just a way to actually organize your code. Okay, yeah, just a way to organize your code. So no much deal. So like I said, I once said that I will try as much as possible to be giving us explanation to certain things as we go. I won't drop out everything, so it will not be overwhelming. Okay, but if you look at this, if you look here, we actually have 3 packages already. We have com.example.motivate. You have this other one which has the Android test, and then we have this other one which have the what test. So we will look into this as we go forward. Okay, so let's move on. So we want to create a new package. Okay, so a package name can be anything as long as it is actually unique, as long as it's globally unique. No other published package anywhere can have the same name. Okay, it has to be unique. Now because there are a very large number of packages, and you need to come up with random unique name, and sometimes it's actually hard. Okay, so there are conventions that we use to make it easy to create and understand. So one thing is this: your package name should be specific. Okay, so with each part of the name in lowercase letters and separated by a period. That's important. So the period is actually part of the name, just like you have this dot here. Okay, that's a period. Okay, it does not actually indicate a hierarchy. Okay, or mandate a folder structure. No. So the second thing is that because actually internet domains, okay, are unique. So it's a convention that a domain, which is actually yours, okay, should actually should be the first part of the name. Okay, so your domain of probably your business actually, of which here now probably ours is just example. Here is example. Okay, so it should actually just be, should become as the first part of your name. Now, another thing to note is that you can choose the names of your packages to indicate what's inside the package and how the packages are related to each other. Okay, like for code examples, you see something like com.example followed by the name of the application. So this is actually commonly used. That's why you already see it as the default. Okay, so now, for example, we used I remember we used something like this, Kotlin.math. Okay, this is a predefined word packaged. It's a predefined word package. Okay, so this actually tells you that it contains what mathematical functions and constants. Okay, so there's even this other one that you have used, probably you have not paid attention to, but Android.widget. This is also a package. So you need to have your views, such as your text views and the rest. Okay, so just a thing to note: while the names of your package, and the arrangements in your project, your Android Studio project, okay, they appear as a hierarchy, but there is no actual hierarchy in your executable code. There is no actual hierarchy. Okay, so just like your numbering system or probably a library, it categorizes and organizes book. They are still on the same shelf. You can take out any one you want. So this your package does not really talk about hierarchy. Okay, just note that. So let's create a package. So I want to create a package here in this class, in this package here. I want to create another package where we have our class. I want to create another package. So I'm just going to say new and then come down to package. Okay, so what do I want to name my package? Okay, I want to name it model, and I'll explain why. Okay, so I'm just going to click enter, and then you can see we have created a package named model. Okay, so it is in this model I want to create a class. Now remember when we worked on lists in Kotlin, we actually did some examples where we actually created a class, okay, and looked at some inheritance stuff and everything. So we're going to actually implement that now. So I want to create a data class called motivation. Okay, I want to create a data class called motivation, and an object instance of motivation actually will just represent one motivation itself, and it will contain the ID of the resource ID of the string that has that motivation. So this is basically what I'm saying. So I want to create a data class. So I'm going to right click in my model package. I'm going to say new. I'm going to come down to Kotlin class /file. I want it to be a class. So I want it to be a data class. I can just click on data class. Okay. And then for the name, I want the name to be motivation. Okay. So click enter, and yeah, I've created a data class. Okay. So a data class, we don't need this. What we actually need is this. Okay, so yes, we are, of course, it says data class must have at least one primary constructor. Means we need to give it we need to give it this guy, but we need it to have something inside. Okay, we need it to have something inside. So now when you create an instance of this class, the motivation class, you need to pass in the resource ID of a particular motivation. Okay, so what we're going to do, that resource ID now is going to be an integer. So that's what we're going to pass as a parameter in this data class. So I can actually just take this out since we just want to do this, and then I'm going to create, let's say, val, let's say string resource ID, and it's going to be of type int. Okay, so this is basically our data class. So it's just a class that holds data. That's just what it does. And how can you get a particular, when you want to create an instance of this class, you just need a string resource ID, which is the ID of a particular what? Motivation. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is to create a class to be the data source. That is the source of this data. Now, note this data displayed in your application may come from different sources. It may come from within your app project or from an external source that requires maybe connecting to the internet to download the data. So as a result of that, data may not be in the exact format that you need. It may not be. So the rest of the app should actually just concern itself with where the data originates from or in what format it is originally. Because you can actually just you can show or you can hide away the data preparation in separate data source classes that actually prepares the data for the app. But what the rest of the app shouldn't really concern about where it originates from or the format. So this is basically what we're going to do. Since preparing data is a separate concern, okay, preparing the data is a separate concern, we're going to put what we call the data source class in a separate data package, because the source of the data, okay, we don't really want to concern ourselves with where it is coming from. So let's put it in a separate package. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll just come down to motivate again. I'm going to create a new package. Okay, now I'm going to I'll just enter data as part of the last package name. I'll just enter data. Okay, and then let's do this, and then I'm going to now create my data source class inside this data package. So Kotlin class, yeah, so I'm going to call this data source. So this is going to be the name of this class. Okay, so now we're actually creating a class now, and one of the attributes of this class is that it will have a function, okay, a function called load motivations. So load this data, load motivations. Okay, let me use S. So this is one function that this class is going to have. Our data source class. So, but our load motivations should actually return something. So it's going to return a list of motivations. So when you open your app, okay, what do we want to do? We want to call this load motivations. And when we load it, it should actually give us the list of motivations that we have. Okay, so this is basically, I'm just going to make this have a return type. And I'm going to say, okay, you can actually just, let's do this. Okay, you can say list. And then a list of what? Okay, what do we want to return? Okay, a list of what? So we want to return a list of motivation, which is the class. And what is in this motivation? Of course, you're going to need the resource ID. Okay, so a list of this data class, that's what we want to return. So then we need to add, so return. So what are we now returning? List of. Okay, so what we want to return now, we're going to return a list of something. Okay, a list of something. Now, this already, when we create, what we call list of, we have created a list. So inside this, I want to know what kind of list am I now returning. Okay, so basically what I'll just do is inside that angular bracket, I'll specify the type of list items. Okay, so I can just actually still call motivation, but that would actually just give us, so okay, no, sorry, that's not, so I think I just need to, so yeah, we're not done. So this is it. So return the list of motivation. Okay, but we're not done. Okay, put this. So what is in this motivation? Okay, what are we returning? So this is what we are returning. I'm going to click enter. We're returning the motivation, and then we'll pass r.string.motivation1. So we have up to, I think, 8. So let me just 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we need to add a comma. Okay, so a list of motivations. I have 2, and then 3, then 4, then 5, and then 6, and then 7, 8, and then I think we had only 8. So let's not kill it. So okay, yes. So this is what we are actually returning, a list of motivators. So I need to take out this guy. Yes, so this is it. So when we call this data source class, okay, we're actually going to return, we're going to be calling the load motivation function, which is going to return a list of motivations. That is, every motivations that we have is going to return it as a list for us, so we can display it for the user. Okay, please, if at any point you have a question, you can just stop me and then we'll move on. Okay, so this is let's just try to display something. Let's try to display something. So just to verify that you can create a list of motivations, we can actually call that load motivations and display the size of that list in a text view. Okay, so let's try it. Let's just be sure. So let me just add a text view here. Okay, let me add a text view. So well, constraint layout. So let's just constrain this guy. Okay, so the ID is text view, so we can just leave that. So I'm going to go to my main activity. So I'm not going to be using, we're not using view binding now. So let's just, okay, well, let me just say type text view. And then I'm going to just say find view by ID, r.id.text view. Sorry, .text view, which I feel that's what we have. Okay, so this is we just getting the ID of the text view that we just created. So now the next thing is that we need to add the code to append the size of that this thing, the data source. Okay, that list that is going to be returned. So I'm just going to say text dot text. Okay, so this might seem confusing, so let me change this to motivation. Okay, good. Motivation size, good. So let's use something. Okay, so motivation size dot text. And what will it be? Now I'm going to call the data source class. So once I call the class, okay, what do? Immediately I call this, I'm now going to say dot. I can now call now you notice we're not creating an object here. We don't need to create an object here. You can just get the properties by calling the class with its constructor. So data source dot, you can see I have load motivations, and the load motivations return a list. Okay, so what do I want to do? I want to get the size of that list. And of course, since it returns a number rather, so I need to change it to string. So that is actually that. So let's actually test this. Oh, I was supposed to use a different emulator. Okay, but that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, I was supposed to use a different emulator. Okay, so let's test this out. So for now, what we have is just hello world. So we'll see what that gives. So that should give us the size of the motivations we have. Okay, and well, you can see it is 8. You can see we have 8 there. So I think I just have to switch to a different emulator to avoid stuff like this. Okay. So let's move on. So now let's actually add the recycler view to the application. Okay, so at this point, let me stop. Do we have any questions before I move on? If you have a question before I move on. Okay, so no question. No question. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let me confirm it. Okay, so I can actually display here. Good. Okay, so let's move on in the absence of no questions. So let's now add RecyclerView to our application. Okay, so talking about RecyclerViews now. Okay, now there are a number of things involved when you want to create a RecyclerView. Okay, there are a number of things involved, and we're going to be looking at them. So you can actually just think of them as division of labor. Just think of it as that, as division of what labor. Now, the first thing that's involved in a RecyclerView, okay, so I'm going to be writing, let me use a comment. One of the first thing that's required is what we call an item, okay? So this represents one data item of the list that you're going to display. So you can just paint the image of your contact app. So when the first number probably, it's alphabetical, so probably you have Abigail, okay, as the first number. So that Abigail represents one data item of that whole list, okay? So in our case, it represents one motivation object in the application, okay? So the next thing that is required is an adapter, what we'll call an adapter. So an adapter basically takes data and prepares it for the RecyclerView to display. That's just a summary of what the adapter does. It takes the data and prepares it for the RecyclerView to display. The next part of this is what we call the view holder. Okay, so, or view holders rather, which of them. So your view holders actually, it's a pool of views for your RecyclerView to use and reuse to display your motivations. So it's just a lot of views that is available for the RecyclerView to use. When we talk about views, of course, text, either a text view, a button, an image view, okay? So that's what view holders are. So a view holders are just a pool, okay? A lot of views for your RecyclerView to use and reuse to display, the items you need it to display. And then the final thing, of course, is the RecyclerView itself, which are just the views on your screen, okay? That's your contact. When you click on contacts on your phone, okay, that list, okay, is the RecyclerView itself. Okay, so there are some lists that if you notice in your contacts, I don't know how your phone is, but some contacts have name, some have an image. So that actually talks about the whole view holder. I want to talk about pool of views. So that's what that particular item has: an image view, that has a text view. It could even have two text views. So that's what it tends to reuse. So each of them, you have a lot of them that is available for the RecyclerView to reuse and reuse it. You use it to display other items. Okay, so these are the four parts of when you want to create and set up your RecyclerView to display a list. Okay, so enough talk. Let's actually go into adding it. So I'm gonna take out this text view. I don't really need it anymore. I don't need it anymore. So so basically what I'm just going to do is this. I kind of don't want to use, our current layout now is constraint layout. Constraint layout is actually ideal. It's flexible when you want to position multiple child views in your layout. Okay, it's very, very ideal to use constraint layouts when you have a lot of child views, okay, that you want to position in your layout. But since our layout has just one single child view, which is the RecyclerView, we don't need to use constraint layout anymore. We use a simpler view group. Remember, constraint layout is a view group. We said view groups they are like a container that houses your views and helps align them. So we're going to use a simpler view group called the frame layout. Okay, that's what we're going to use to hold just a single view. Okay, so I'm going to just let's say you can actually search frame, you can actually see it frame layout. So I'm just going to drag this here. So I can just take out this young man. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so hold on. So I'm going to just, let's do it in code. I think I remember that we're doing things with code. So just going to change this to a frame layout. Okay, good. So that's basically what we're going to use to put our recycler view. So I'm going to change this. Okay, good. So that's that. So now let's add our recycler view. Let's add our recycler view. And so we can actually do it with code, or we can do it, in the design. I kind of enjoy a bit of code. So let's just use recycler view. So you have the Android X or recycler view, widgets, and that. So so for the width, we want the width to match the parent. We want the height also to match the parent. Okay. Now immediately that you can actually see we have a list here. Item 0, item 1. Just zoom in. Okay, it already comes there. That's our recycler view now that we can actually just see here. We have already a list, an item already. So we will now be the ones to decide what kind of views will be in each of these items. We'll look into that. Okay, so another thing I'm going to add, of course, definitely our recycler view. We need to give it an ID. So we're going to have, let's just call it recycler view. Just call it recycler view. I'm going to say recycler underscore view. Sorry about that. And then, sorry, this should be underscore. Okay, so another property I would want to add is to be able to scroll through a vertical list of items that is no longer on the screen. Okay, to be able to scroll through a vertical list of items that is actually not even on the screen. So I'm going to add a what called scroll bar. Yeah, scroll bars, and I'm going to set it to vertical. Okay, so I think, and then finally, one thing you must actually tell your code is this: do you want this list to be displayed in a linear format or in a grid format or horizontal format? So we have a property called layout manager. Okay, which is this. So you get to choose what do you want it to be, the grid layout manager, the linear layout manager, or what we have the staggered grid layout manager. So I'll leave that. We're just going to use the linear layout manager. Then I'm going to close this up, and then we are actually done. So we have actually created our recycler view. So the next thing, so let's just test this. I'm just going to run this to be sure we don't have any issues. So it should actually compile and run without issues. But the thing is, okay, so we have an unresolved reference text field. Okay, yes, we don't need this anymore. So we should just take that out. Okay, that's good. Okay, so let's see. So it should compile, and then we should just have a blank screen. Okay, we have to just reinstall and then restart. So this should give us a blank screen. Yes. So our list is actually there, but it has not been populated. We haven't given it anything. So that's what we're going to work on. So remember, we talked about adapters. Okay, so this is where adapter comes in. So your application actually needs a way to take the data from the data source and format it so that each motivation can be displayed as an item in the recycler view. Okay, so we need a way whereby each of our motivations will be displayed as one item in our recycler view. So this is where adapter comes in. Okay, adapter is actually a design pattern. Okay, it helps adapt the data into something that can be used by the recycler view. So in this case, what we actually need an adapter that takes an instance of our motivation and what returns the list, that will be returned by our load motivation function. Okay, so it turns it into a list item view, so it can be displayed. Okay, so let's implement that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create an adapter. We're going to create an adapter. Now, it's good to note this, like an adapter has multiple parts. Okay, and we'll actually be writing a bit of code. Okay, that may seem complex, that what you've actually been doing so far. But don't worry. Okay, you might not understand it at first, but you understand it well as we move on. Okay, so for now, before we create our adapter, let's actually create a layout for these items. How do we want these items to look like? Okay, so let's create. Remember when we ran the app, it was just a white screen. So we need to create a layout for these items. So how do we do that? Well, we just come to resource folder, we right click, and then new. And I'm gonna say, okay, let's do it, sorry, on the layout, yes, since we want to create a layout. So layout, new, and then we have layout resource file. So I'm gonna click on that. So what will be the name? I'm gonna say list underscore item. That will be the name of the layout, okay? And so I'm gonna just click OK, and that's fine. So I wanna add a text view. I want to add, now since it's just, I want to actually have just one. Okay, I don't want what they call it. I don't want to have anything inside the layout. So since it's just one, I'm just going to change this to, so your item should just have, this is just what it should have. So sorry about that. Let's change this to text view. Okay, good. So this is what we have. So I'm going to give it an ID. Okay. So I'm going to say ID. I'm going to call this item underscore title. Okay, so now I want the width to wrap the content, and I want the height of this text view to wrap the content also. Okay, so this is we just creating a layout for how our this items, our motivations is going to actually show up. Okay, so that's just it. We just want our layout to have just a text view, of course, because we want to display just a text, which is the motivations. So let's now go to creating our adapter. Okay, so we have actually been talking about having to do things the right way. So we'll follow what they call it, structure. So what I'm going to do, since adapter is a bit different, I'm going to now create another package for adapter. So I'm just going to say adapter here. Good. So, and then, well, I'm going to create a new class. So I'm going to call my class item adapter. Okay, good. So if you look at this is structure. So imagine if we are building a more robust application that has up to like 5-6 adapters, we know that, okay, fine, they are in this package, so you can easily locate them. So that's just having to structure your codes. Okay, so we need to actually add a parameter to the constructor, to our constructor of this item adapter. Okay, and the parameter, the reason for this is so that we can pass in the list of affirmations into the adapter. Remember, adapter just takes it takes your data and helps display it. So we need to now pass in a list of motivations into the adapter. So I'm going to do that by saying, let me make this a private val, and I'm going to call it data set. And what is this data set? The data set is a list of motivation. So that's basically what I've just done. So I'm actually creating the parameter. So this data set is a type of motivation, a list of it. Okay, so what's next? Now, another thing is your item adapter needs information on how to resolve the string resources. Okay, how does it resolve? So this and other information about your application is stored in a context object instance. that you can pass into an item adapter. Like I said, it's going to seem like a lot, but don't worry, just follow. Okay. This string resource is an other information about your application is stored in a context object instance. So when I say context object instance, it means that context is actually a class. Okay. So we're going to add a parameter to the item adapter, and we'll pass in a context. So I'm going to do this just before this. I'm going to save another private, since I want this variable to just be context of type context. Okay, good. So don't worry, I will explain more on context as we move on. Okay, so that is it. We have actually just created an adapter. So an adapter is just going to take in the list and then the context. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to create the view holder. So the recycler view does not interact directly with the item views. Okay, your recycler view, it doesn't interact directly with these those items that was listed down there. Okay, so it just deals with the view holders instead. It doesn't deal directly with the item views, it deals with the view holders instead. Now, a view holder represents a single list item view in your recycler view. That's what the view holder does, and you can reuse it as possible. I'll take that again. A view holder represents a single list item view in a recycler view. Okay, and you can reuse it as much as possible. So a view holder instance now, so when I say view holder instance, means an object. That means the view holder is a class. If an object of the view holder, that is a view holder instance, it holds references to the individual views within a list item layout. So in this our list item layouts, if we had text view, image view, so many views here, your view holder instance will hold references to all these views that is here. And it actually makes it easy to update your list with new data. So we're going to just create, in our item adapter class, I'm going to create an item view holder. So I'm going to say class, I want to create a view holder now, so I'll call it item view holder. Okay. So now, defining the class inside of a class is actually called nested class. Okay, so we're just creating a nested class, a class in a class. So since your item view holder is only used by the adapter, like the item adapter rather, so creating it inside just shows relationship. It's not compulsory. You can create this outside of this class. Okay, it's not compulsory, but since this class, this item view is only going to be used within this guy, it's only going to be used by this guy, so it's okay to just put it inside. Kind of just shows relationship, but it's not mandatory, but it just helps people understand the structure of your program. So now I'm going to now pass in a parameter to this view holder. So what is this view holder going to require? It's going to require a view. So I'm going to say private val view of type view. Yeah. Okay. And what is it going to return? What is our item view holder class going to return? It's going to return a view holder. Now we need to make item view holder a subclass of recycler view. Okay, that's basically what I want to do now. We need to make the item view holder a subclass of recycler view. Okay, so let's do that. So let's say recycler view, which is this. Okay, now the next thing is this: your view holder and and can actually pass the view parameter into the superclass constructor. And what is our superclass? So I'm going to just say the view holder. Okay, and this is our superclass. So we can pass in this view, yeah, which is this guy. Can pass it into this. Okay, and then so remember what we said, that your view holder, okay, it represents a single list item. So what is the item? So I'm going to say val text view. Remember we have a text view, so I'm going to use motivation text, motivation_text, okay, of type text view. And with this, so with this view parameter, I can now get access to this guy. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to use this parameter here. I'm going to say view, which is, since it's of type view, so I'm going to say view.findView by ID. And what are we looking for? r.id dot, I think we named it item title. Did we? Yes, item title. Okay, so okay, it's never used, so we'll use it. So that is recreating the item view holder. Okay, now we need something else. Another thing, like I said, it seems like we're doing a lot, but don't worry, just follow. Another thing is this: we need to override adapter methods. Okay, we need to override adapter methods. So I'm going to just add this code, and then, so let's see. So my item adapter class will, RecyclerView.adapter. Okay, want to override the adapter methods. Okay, so to do that, we're going to extend our item adapter from the abstract class RecyclerView.adapter. So RecyclerView.adapter is an abstract class already. So we just want to extend from that class so we can override some adapter methods. Okay, so I'm going to now say, so put our angular brackets and then pass in our own adapter, item adapter dot the view holder that we created. Okay, so after that, of course, we need to call our constructor. Now, immediately we do that, you see we have this red line over here. And what does it say? It says class item adapter is not abstract and does not implement the abstract-based class members, okay, and the whole lot of that. So there are functions that we should override. So I'll just come and click on implement members. So these are the three members that we should implement. We have the Uncreate Viewholder, Unbind Viewholder, and Get Item Count. So I'll implement these guys, just select all of them, click OK. Yeah, I know, whoa, some people will be like, oh man, what is all this? So I'll just take out this one. So we'll run it one by one, so don't worry. So first things first, let's implement this function. This function get item count. Okay, so the get item count, actually, it needs to return the size of your data set. That's basically what that method does. So our apps data in the data set property, okay, that are actually passing. So this is what we're going to do. I can actually just say return. Okay, and what do we want to return? Now, remember we created this data set here. So I can just say return data set dot size. Okay, and that is that. Okay, but a more interesting way to actually do that is to just, you know, say do it like this. I could just say this is equals data set dot size. So this is a more concise way of, you know, doing that. Okay, so that we have implemented that method. Like I said, it just returns the size of your data set. So the next one we're going to work on now is the Uncreate Viewholder. So just follow the words Uncreate and then Viewholder. Uncreate. So on creating the viewholder, that's just what that method is. On creating a viewholder. So this method is called by your layout manager to create new view holders, okay, for your recycler view. Okay, that's what this method actually does. It's actually what is called by the layout manager to create new view holders for your recycler view. Okay, that is when there are no existing view holders that can be reused. So remember that a view holder represents a single list item view. So this Uncreate Viewholder is called by the layout manager to create new views for the recycler view. Now look at this. If you notice, it takes two parameters: a parent of type view group, that is the type of parent should be of view group, and then we have the view type, okay, which is an integer. And then it returns our item view holder, which is this one that we created. Okay, so first of all, let me start with this. So this, a parent parameter, okay, which is the view group. This parent parameter is the view group that the new list item view will be attached to as a child. Okay, so if we have, let me just say, so let me just, our view group is actually a class. This is just to show you, it's going to be a lot of things. So it's just a class. Okay, so don't worry about this. So our parents, okay, is the parameter it's just the view group that the new list item view will be attached to. That's that new list item view that will be created. What parents will it be attached to as a child? Okay, so your parent actually here is the recycler view. Okay, our parent is what the recycler view. That's what our parent is in this case. Okay, so the next thing is this view type. So the view type parameter, which becomes important when there are multiple item view types in the same recycler view. That's when this is important to know if you have multiple item view types. So if you have different list item layouts that is displayed within the recycler view, then there are different item view types. If you have different list item layouts, okay. So remember we already created one. So if you have a lot that is displayed within a particular one recycler view, okay, then that means we have different view types. But note, you can only recycle views with the same item view type. Okay, so in our case, we have only one list item. Okay, that means because we have one list item, okay, it means that we have one item view type. Okay, so we don't really have to worry much about this parameter. Okay, so in this method now, we're going to obtain an instance. So I believe you understand when I say obtain an instance. We're going to obtain an instance of what we call the layout inflator from the context. Okay, so I'm just going to say val. Let me call this adapter layout, and then I'm going to say equals. So I'm going to call my layout inflator dot from, and then I'm going to pass in what we call a context. So we have parents, don't worry, I'll explain, dot context. Okay, so once we actually have a layout inflator object instance like we do now, okay, we can just add, what we'll just do is to add a period. Okay, I think I'm seeing a message in the chat. Okay. Okay, so I think probably that's a bit better. Okay, so
sorry to interrupt. I meant the definition of the class, that line 12. There's a part that goes out of the screen that I need to see.
Okay. I can just do this. Okay, is that fine?
Please, thank you very much.
Okay, so let's move on. So once we have this instance now, this instance that we've created, so we'll just add a period, and basically what we want to, we want to call another method, and the method we want to call is so that we can inflate the actual list item. So what we call inflate, that we can bring to the screen, we can populate, we can give it, a value. So I'm just going to say dot inflate rather. So what do we want to inflate? So we want to inflate with the layout that we created, which is r.layout, okay, because that's where it is. And this is it, the list item. So this inflate takes another parameter, okay, which is the view group. And our view group is the parent. And then there's another parameter, okay. The third is actually a Boolean, which talks about attach to root. Okay, this argument actually needs to be false because RecyclerView adds this item to the view hierarchy for you when it's time. So we don't need to attach it to the root, to attach it when it is time. So to always be false. Okay, so so now that our adapter layout holds reference to the list item view, okay, for which, okay, later we can actually find other child views like the text view. So what we'll now do remember it returns an item view holder. So just say return item view holder. Now, but our item view holder requires a view as its what parameter. Okay, so what do we pass? We're going to pass in the what adapter what layout. Okay, so that is that, because this adapter layout actually gets a what view. Okay, it's actually the object instance, and it actually gets the view of our list item. So let's move on. Let's move on. So the last thing that we need to do is to implement unbind view holder. So this is where, so from the word unbind, okay, so this is where the whole taking the data and putting it to the view takes place, okay? So how do we actually work that out? But note this method is actually called by your layout manager in order to replace the contents of a list item view. Okay, so it actually has two parameters, like you can see. It has the holder of type item view holder, and then it has the position. Okay, it has the word position. So this item view holder, of course, we previously created it. Okay, we previously created this young man here. So this is just a variable that shows it's a parameter that shows it's a type of this. Okay, now the next thing to do is this. Of course, I've talked about the position. Okay, it takes position as a parameter. So this position actually talks about the current item in the list, the position of the current item in the list. So in this method, we'll find the right motivation object from the data set based on its position. So how do we do that? Well, first things first, we need to get so I'm going to say val item, create a variable, and it's going to take the data set. Remember, our data set is a list of motivations, and then I'm going to pass in a position, the position inside. It's going to hold the position of every item, okay, that we have. So the last thing we need to do now is to update all the views referenced by the view holder so that they can reflect the correct data. Okay, so in our case, we have only one text view within our item view holder. We have only one text view. So we'll set the text of the text view to display the motivation string for that particular item using that position. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. I think we have actually, so I'm going to just do this. So I'll make use of this holder, and I'm going to say holder dot. So with that holder now, I actually now have access to, that text view. So motivation text was what we called it, and then dot text, because we want to now set the text. So how do I now get those resources? How do I now get those resources? Okay, so in the Android framework, we can actually call the getString method. I think we have used this before, this method, getString. We can actually call this method with a string resource ID. Okay, I think probably you did get color. Okay, and this will return the string value associated with it. So when we pass in the ID to give us the value of that ID. Okay, so this getString method is a method in the resource class. And you can get an instance of the resources class through the context. Okay, so that means what we'll have to do, we have to call the context first. So this is basically what I'm going to say. Context. Context. Okay, dot let's say resources, because our getString is in resources, resources dot getString. Okay, good. So what is the string? So now how can we get the string now? Okay, how can we get the string? Remember, they are all stored here in this variable. The data set is stored here. So I'm going to now say item. So we note this item, you can see the type here, motivation. So I'm going to say item dot string resource ID. So where does this string resource ID, if I come here and just highlight, you see this is where it came from the class, the motivation class. So because we created an object, we were able to use, okay, where are we? Yes, here. So we're able to use this item Okay, remember the data set is already a list of motivation. So we're able to use that to get the parameter there. So that's actually, that's actually it. So let's see. So now we've just actually done the whole background work. Okay, so but how do we now display it to the screen? Okay, how do we display it to the screen? So I'm just going to come to my main activity. Okay, and so before under here, I'm going to get let me get an object of, so I'm going to say my data set. Okay, I want to get an object of our data source class. In fact, let me get it, and let me also call the load. So it's going to call this function, and whatever it gets is going to be stored in this my data set variable. Of course, you can see it's returning a list of motivation, because that is what this load motivation, we can see that's what is returning. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to just store it. I want to get that motivation, that list, and store it in a variable so I can make use of it. So after storing it, now I'm going to create, let me now get the ID of my recycler view. Recycler, let me say underscore view equals, let's use our find view by ID, we'll modify. So our find view by ID means what type? It's a recycler view. So r.id. I think, what did we name it? I think we named it recycler view. Okay, so now we have that. So to tell the recycler view to use the adapter, that is the item adapter, that class that we created, we'll create a new item adapter instance. Okay, we'll create a new item adapter instance. Remember, item adapter is a class. So to use what's in that class, you need to create an instance of it. So how do we do that? Well, I can actually just create a variable and store it, but I just want to do it directly. So I want to tell the recycler view to use the adapter. So I'm going to say recycler view dot adapter. So this actually tells the recycler view to use the adapter. So what adapter do we want to use? We'll call my item adapter class, which is this, and it takes two parameters. And what are they? Context and then the data set. So for the context, I'm just going to say this, okay? Okay, that is the context of this activity. And then for the list, of course, we have already stored it somewhere, which is this my data set. So I'm going to say my data set. Okay, so that is actually that. Then one last thing. So since the layout size of your recycler view is fixed in the activity layout, we can actually just say, call this method to just say recycler view dot set has fixed size. Yes, set has fixed size, and then we'll just declare this to be true. Okay, so okay, so we can see local variable name should not contain what underscores. So let's okay, so can just do. Okay, so we need to do that here. Okay, so another way to make this fast, okay, you can actually just, let me show you. Okay, so you can just double click and then right click, you click on refactor, okay, then rename, so shift F6, so that whatever we are doing, it will apply to every other place in this class. So when I click on this, it changes the whole of these guys for me. Okay, so that is that's actually that. So let's run this application and see if we're going to have a list now. Let's see if we're going to have a list now. So I know it seems like we've done a whole lot. Like, wow, what's all this code we have written? So don't worry, I'll entertain questions. So let's just see what we have done. Okay, yeah, so this is it. We actually have a list. You can see I'm strong, I am strong. So it's just that it's just glued to the parent. So we can solve that. It's actually on the list item. So I can just say let's add a margin. Okay, let's add a margin both top, bottom, left of 20 dp. Okay, that's a bit fine. Let's increase the text size. let's say 20 SP. So okay, I think that's fine. That's fine. So let's run this again. So it will come out a bit much better. Okay, so yeah, so we have a list. Okay, so if you see, I'm actually trying to scroll. I'm trying to scroll, so that's why you can see this happening. I'm trying to scroll, but this is all. So let's see. Let me add more things and then see if we can scroll. So we have that in strings. So let's add more. So let me just duplicate this thing. So let this be 9. Okay. 10, 11, sorry, 12, 13, and then 14, and then, okay, sorry about that, and then 15. Okay, so I think this is we have more. So just so that we don't have, can actually see a bit of difference and don't think it's the same thing. So let me just, okay, so let's run this now. Let's run this and then see if we have something we can scroll. Something we can scroll. Apply the changes. Okay, reinstall and start. Terminate. Okay, good. Okay, so this is it. So this is actually that. So if you notice, we have I am strong, I believe, and then that I have so much to be grateful for, and then it stopped at I will make more money, and then we can't actually go up again. So what is the problem? So let's see. So we have this. Okay. So let's me. Okay. So I want to try something. Just run this and then let me see. Data size. Okay. Data set.size. Okay. I think this is not okay. Then let's see. Okay. Okay, so this is what we are returning. We're not returning much, so we need to return the rest. Okay, that's why it's not showing. So let's think we had up to how many? 15. Okay, good, that's fine. So okay, so 7, 8, okay, and then 9, and then 10, and then 11, and then 12. Okay, I think you can just, okay, and then 13, and then 14, then 15. Okay, so then put a comma. Okay, so yeah, so that's because we were returning a short list out of the many that we had. So now let's return the writer. So yeah, you can see we can scroll. So that's what the recycler view does. So at this point, okay, it doesn't create more views. It doesn't have to create, it just reuses this one text view that we have to populate, and give, just takes the data and reuses this one text view. So we did not have to start creating a lot of text views. So imagine if we didn't have recycler view, or we couldn't represent a list. So we would have had, probably 15 motivations, we would not have 15 text views. But with just one view and then a recycler view, okay, you can actually just populate it. So now you have I am strong here, item, and you have this one. So when I move up, this guy goes off the screen and is reused below it. I am strong goes off and then it is reused. That is just the concept of recycler view. Okay, and it already has auto scrolling, so you don't have to put it in a scroll view. So that's actually that. So I'm going to stop here and entertain questions before I summarize. So questions? Just unmute and then you can ask a question. Okay. Who has Fola? You have a question? Go ahead.
Can the recycler view hold
I
items
can
of
I can
different
barely
types?
hear you. I can barely hear you.
Can the recycler view hold items of different types?
Can a recycler view hold item of different types?
Types.
Yes, we talked about
Right.
that. I will talk about view type. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. Okay, so let's actually, we have a bit of just few. So I'm going to, well, this is my application, so I'm going to just do, so let's look at something very quick and then we are done. So I want us to be able to display, like a list of images, okay? That's what I want us to do now. Let's display a list of images, okay? In this application now. Let's display a list of images. So I don't want just text alone. I want us to add both images to it. So we can actually see that our list item can contain more than one views, okay? So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to update my data source. Okay, no, yeah, I'm going to update my motivation class. Now I want it to have an image. Okay, so I'm going to update it. But before that, let's do something. Let's do something. So I want us to actually use what we call resource annotations. Okay, now remember we're using string resource ID. So I want to add another parameter here, image resource ID. Okay, and of course I want it to be of type int. Okay, so if you know these two are two integer values. This actually looks okay, but it's possible that whoever is calling this class can actually call accidentally pass in arguments in their wrong order. The order here is to put the string before the image. So it's possible that somebody puts image before string, and that could cause issues. So to avoid this, we can use what we call resource annotations. Okay, we can use what we call resource annotations. They are actually useful. They are actually useful because they add additional information to the classes, methods, or even parameters. So someone doesn't actually just impute what is not necessary. So how do we do that? So I'm going to just come down. Okay. So here I'm going to say, use what we'll just say add string resource here. So this is the annotation for that. And then for this, add drawable, because images are drawable, so drawable resource. So that's just an annotation so that people don't get. So this will actually, you'll get a warning when you supply the wrong type of resource ID. That's what this will basically just help you do. So the next thing is to initialize the list of motivations with images. So we'll do that in our data source. So if you look at that, we have errors here because our motivation class takes in a resource, a string, and an image. So, but we don't have, yeah, I don't have a lot of images. So let me just take in one or two, and then I'll just use one, and then we'll repeat. I'll repeat that, or maybe I can add two. Well, let's just use one. I think I have one here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and then so I've copied it, so I'm going to paste it here in my drawable, paste, yeah, and then okay, so let me call it motivation underscore image. Let me just call that. I don't need this extension, so let's just use this. Okay, so I'm going to click OK, and I think that's fine. So now I can now pass in so you can actually see it's even the annotation, so it tells you what to do. So for this particular image, for this particular one, what do I actually want to do? Well, so I'll just pass in the image, which is r.drawable, dot, I named it motivation image. Okay, so I'm just going to reuse that. You can add a lot of images, for yourself. Okay, so let me copy down from this. Okay, so good. So I'm gonna paste, 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 paste. Okay, so I'm just using one image for all of them. You can add a lot, you can use several images. That's not an issue. Okay, so that's that. So we're actually just doing something better. So the next thing is to add an image view to our list item layout. Okay, remember we had just, so to actually show an image in the list, you need an image view now, of course. So now we have two views. We cannot actually use what do you call it? So now we have two views. We cannot just put, since we have two views, they have to be in a view group. Since we have two views, we have to put them in a view group. So for this, I want to use a linear layout for this. So I want to use a linear layout. So it's arrange them in a linear format. So let me use this. So I'm going to just copy this, cut this rather. The namespace should be here. Okay, and then I'm going to copy this. Okay, but yeah, I think that's fine. So everything here should now go into my linear layout. Okay, good. So we want to add an image view into this layout. So now, first of all, I actually want the width to match the parent, so it to be wide enough. Yeah, you can actually see that. And for the height, it's fine to wrap the content. So remember we talked about linear layouts one time. So orientation should be vertical. We want the items to be vertically arranged. Okay, so we have our text view. You can see that here. So we want to add an image view. So for the image view, I want the width of the image to match the parent. And then for the height, let me just say 180 dp, just to test that out. Of course, we're going to give it an ID. I'm going to say item underscore image. And then what else? So of course, this is going to give us a whole set content description stuff, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to call this attribute important for accessibility, and I'm going to say no, so that it doesn't disturb. And then finally, a scale type. I'm going to say center crop. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is it. We have image view and then we have text view. So I kind of don't want I want to have image first before text first. So let's cut this. Okay, so image first and then the text. Okay, so okay, that's fine. So let's now move on. So let's now update our item adapter. Let's now update it. Okay, so we need to update it to know that it's going to use them. So basically the updates we're going to do here is our item view holder. Remember, it holds every, the views and everything. So I'm going to say, so val image, let me say motivation image. Okay, so local variables should not be. So that's basically why you have this. Okay, so this is going to be of type image view. Okay, and then we'll say view dot find view by ID, and there's r dot ID dot what did we call it? Item image. Yeah, I think that's what we called it. Okay, so this, of course, okay, this should not contain underscores. Property name should not contain underscores. So this is being used here. So I'll just double click on this and do Shift F6 on Windows, and I'll just come down to this one and choose that. So that updates that. Okay, so for this motivation image now, we now come to our unbind view holder, okay, and set that image. So how do we do that? I'm going to say holder, just like we did before, dot motivation image. dot set image resource. I think we've all done this before. Okay, and then I'm going to say, so how do I get that? I'm going to use the item, okay, which is this one from the data set, the motivation item dot give me the image resource ID. So that's actually that's that. So let's run this and then let's test that. Sorry about that. The file name must end with XML. Okay. Sorry, I think I took out the extension. So sorry about that. Okay, it's an image. So let's use PNG. Yeah, .png. Yeah, sorry about that. Took out the extension. Why did I do that? Okay, so let's see. Moment of truth. Let's see how this would look. Of course, yeah, we have to reinstall and start the application. Okay, and then this is what we have. So this is the image, this is the text view, this is the image, this is the other text, and you can keep scrolling, you can scroll, and then we get to see. So you can actually, arrange it anyhow you like, design it the way you want, it's up to you, but this is basically we displaying a list of images and text view using a recycler view. Okay, so I think that's actually that. It kind of looks better with images actually. Okay, so let's just polish it a bit. Let's not just leave it like that. So I'm going to come to my linear layout. Let's just make it a bit. So let me add a padding. Both the top left and also give 16 dp. So that gives spaces between the parent and the actual the content of that view. Okay, that's just going to add some white space between the items and the list. Okay, what else can we do? So the text view also. Okay, let me not use a margin. Let me use a padding. Let me use a padding of 16 dp. And then I want to do something else, text appearance. There's a lot you can actually do. So let me see. Okay, let me use this. I used to write something and then the attribute, yeah, and then text appearance. So let's use headline. Okay, so what else can we do? So let's just see. Let's see how this looks. Let's see how this looks. Let's see how this looks. Okay, so yeah, this kind of seems a bit better. This seems a bit better. So yeah, so this is the text appearance we're making use of, and then the padding actually gives space between, just gives you an extra white space between the items, okay, between items in the word list. So that's why we have the padding. Okay, so is there any other thing we can do? I wanted us to talk about cards. Do we have time? Let's see. Do we have enough time for that? I don't think. Okay, but I think we do. So let's just run that. So using of cards, okay, if you notice, it's still actually hard to tell, if an image belongs to a particular text. You don't know if this image is for this one or this image is for this particular one, or if this image, let's go to the top. Yeah, I don't know if this image is for, I will make it, don't know. So that's why we can use a card view. It kind of provides an easy way to contain group of views and at the same time provide a bit of consistency in the style. Okay, so I'm going to add a material card view to the layout. So I'm going to put everything in a material card view. So since it's going to, I need a material card view. So I'm just going to take this. Since this is the root layout, that's where the namespace should be. We don't need this guy here anymore. Okay, and then close this up. So then everything in here should go in here. So this gives us a card. So you can see something like this. So So we can do a lot. So I'm just going to create a margin for the card, both left, right, and center. So margin of I think 8 dp is fine. So I think that kind of just makes it a bit, so let's see how that does just by adding that card view and just a margin. Let's see what that does. Okay. Yeah, I think so. This doesn't seem like it does anything, but it actually does something. Just doesn't seem like it does anything. So let's change colors. Yeah, let's change colors. Okay, so let's change colors, and then we can probably get to now see how this thing really looks. Okay. So I think I don't need this padding anymore. Let's see. Okay, so we don't have too much white space everywhere. Okay, so that's fine. All right, that's fine. Okay, so let's change colors in our application. So of course, we'll just give us some colors to use. Okay, but of course you can use whatever you want doing. So let's just use this. So let's change the app theme colors. So I'm just going to go to my colors.xml. Okay, so we already have these guys. So let's add color. So for this, I'm going to create this. Let me call this blue _ 200. And then the value will be, let's say one pound sign. So FF, and then we have 90CAF9. Okay, so that gives us a kind of a bright color. So I'm just going to do this. So let's call this blue 500. And let this be FF2196F3. That gives us another shade. And then for the last one, I want to have 1976D D2. So let's call this blue 700. Okay, that's another shade. Okay, so just adding these colors. Okay, so now let's separate our styles from our themes. Okay, remember we talked about styles, so we can actually specify a style. We said a style can specify attributes for a view, such as the font color, the font size, background color, and much more. And we said that a theme is actually a collection of styles that's applied to an entire app, a particular activity, or maybe just a view hierarchy, but not just an individual view. So we'll create a new file. We don't need to, shall we? Already have our themes here, so we can just use what we have. Okay, we can just use what we have. So I'm going to open this up, and then I'll open the night on also. Okay. So let's do something. Let's go to our manifest. So what do we have here? So Android theme, we have this. Okay. So we can just use this instead. So we already have this. So okay, so let's use our inbuilt theme and then modify it. Okay, so just close this. Okay, so let's now make some changes. Our color primary, okay, let's change our color primary to be that of blue 500. And let's make the color variant to be blue 700. Okay, so let's run the app now and just see how. First of all, this is how it looks. Okay, this is how it looks. So let's run it now and then see changes. Okay, yeah, I'll make. Okay, so yeah, we have this, kind of blue stuff here. So that's fine. So what else can we do? So let's add a resource. Let's now change the color for the for the dark theme. Okay, so for dark theme, I can just, so instead of purple 200, let me have blue 200 for dark theme. And then instead of, for the variant, instead of purple 700, let me have blue 500 there. Okay, so so let's see that. Let's see how that looks. Okay, so remember, so since for those using an emulator, okay, settings. Okay, sorry, my emulator is actually misbehaving, so may not see certain things. Yeah, I may not see certain things. I need to update it actually. So okay, so battery saver. Okay, I'm just actually doing a lot of guesswork now. Okay, so this is just guesswork based on the last time we did this. Okay, so this is what we have. Okay, so we still, so our color on primary, okay, is black. That's why we have this. Okay, our color on primary is what? Black. That's why we have this. So looking at this now, of course, we can actually make as much changes as we like. We can, so the color on primary, let's see. So we have this. So we can actually make the changes that we want. So that's up to you to work out. So let me go back to my light mode. Okay, good. Okay, and then we're back. So the last thing, yeah, this is the last thing we're going to do. So the last thing is we're going to change the icon, the application icon. You may not be able to see this on this guy. Well, basically when you run every application, okay, maybe just create a new app, this is how the icon is. So we're going to change this app icon. So let's see how we can do that. Okay, so it's very easy actually to do. So you just get a drawable by yourself. Okay, so we can actually form one. So I'll just go to drawable, new, I'm gonna say image asset. Okay, image asset. So this is actually that. So let's see what we can do. An icon with the same name already as this. So we can actually choose icon. If you actually downloaded one, let me see if I have something. Okay, I think I have something I can use. Let me just see where it is. Let me locate it on my local. Okay, fine. So I have something I can use. So let's locate it. Okay, so I want to locate it now. So I'm just going to go to, let's see. Okay, I'm in foreground layer already. Now I need to click on this path to be able to upload. Maybe I have my own icon that I want to use. I can click on this to locate it. So where I have, so let's see. Where's my stuff? Okay, users. Okay, then we have this. Okay, pictures, right? Yes, and then we have, okay, this. Okay, and then we have this. Okay, so this is it. So this just helps us to give us several variations of our of our icon, the rounded, put it in a rounded square, and the whole of this. So so let's see. So that's actually that. So we can actually even, let's see the background layer. We can decide to actually even choose a background layer if you want, if you have one. Let me see. Let's try something. Let's see what this does. Okay, so you see this one has a transparent foreground. Let's see. So you can actually, so if you have another one, you can actually just change the background. So this background is actually green, so you can actually change that. And then when you're done, it's all you have to do is just, I think, just say yes. So you can actually do trimming if you want. You know, you can resize. Okay, so I'm going to resize so that this is the actual image. Say, so it was like this. So I can just resize so that it gets to come up well. Okay, so that's actually fine. Then next, okay, so I see launcher background, and so some files are in red. So this is actually saying that we're overriding what was there before, because we did not, we did not rename it. Okay, so let's just override it actually. Finish. So let's see. Let me click on this. Okay, so I hope that worked. So let's see if that worked. Okay, so let's test that. Let's test that and see. Okay, duplicate resources. Yeah, so where could this guy be? Yeah, we didn't rename it, so we have duplicate resources. Okay, so let's see. Okay, yes. So we had this one that was created. Okay, so just delete this, right? This V2. So this is kind of like for lower version. So I hope that's it. That it. Okay, let's just delete that and see what that does. Okay. Okay, so analyzing. How long do you want to analyze? Okay, so let's try and see if that's a bit fixed. Okay, so we still have that. So MIP map. Okay, so let's follow this. This is the duplicate resource. IC launcher.png is an app src main resource. So this is MIP map. Okay, MIP map HDPI1. So let's see, where can we find that? Okay, open this. So this actually just creates several versions of your logos or your app icon so that it can actually match several phones. Okay, so IC launcher .png, IC launcher.png. Okay, so HDPI. Okay, we have HDPI here. Okay, so do we have any other HDPI again? I don't think we do. So if at any point maybe any of you see it, you can let me know. Okay, I think that it's not just that one. All of them have duplicates, resources, duplicates. So, but these are different. So this is the foreground, this is for the round. Okay, let's see. That's why we shouldn't have actually overridden them, but I've just created a new name for that actually. That would have actually solved the problem. Okay, so okay, so let's just do something. Let's I can actually let's try something. Let's undo something. Let's see. Okay, so let me think okay, we still have this. So let me delete this. Let me delete this guy. I hope I've not caused much problems. Okay, yes, because we don't have a MIP map now. We don't have this. So actually caused a lot of problems. So you need to be very careful when you're deleting stuff, because now that I have deleted this young man, I have to, I have to go look for it again. So let's see if we can create one that we just did. So let's create these guys again. Some files showing red show that are existing. So drawable background. Okay, I think I can. Okay, so let's see. I think we have our MIP map now. Hope these guys will give us will allow us. Okay. So while that is doing, while that's working, you can actually ask your question, and then we get to answer you. So still having. Okay. So let's see. Yeah. So this is it here. Okay. You can actually see it. This is it here. Yes. So that changed the icon. Okay. I could. So yeah, you can actually just think this guy's good. That's not the manifest. Okay, so I think we're good to go. We're actually good. We're good to go actually. So that's actually that. So you can use any image for your app icon, and then that actually works. So that's all for today. That's all for today. So basically, if you have questions, let's just do that, and then let's just ask our questions, then we can move on. Then we'll call it night. Okay, so no questions, no questions, no questions, no questions, no questions. Okay, so good. That's
there's
fine.
a question, sorry. The result of the class.
Okay.
I'm trying to, whenever I read those documentations on Android and Kotlin, interpreting them is always a challenge for me, really. I don't really understand how it works in terms of the documentation itself. Do you mind maybe opening a documentation on classes, and then how we get to implement all those things as is written there, so to say? It's quite challenging. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. Okay, so okay, so let's just say maybe we'll do a class on that. Okay, we'll just do a test run. Maybe just try it in one of our classes. Okay, but our time is fast spent, and there's another class by 9 p.m. Okay, that I need to also prepare for. Okay, so just remind me. So maybe one of the revision sessions, we can just look into that, or if we finish up what we have on Thursday, we can just delve into that. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so Mr. Samuel Wanwood is here. My boss. Good day, sir. Good to have you on the call. Okay, so I think that will be all. So I'm going to actually give you guys a challenge task. Yes, I'm going to give you a task, and yes, this task might be challenging a bit, not really much, but it will just cause you to research and to cause you to think. So don't be scared. Of course, you guys are good. You guys are good. So I'll give us something. So another thing to note is promotion to stage 4. Okay, is actually this week. Okay, so this is going to be the time. The task I'm going to give you is going to be the task that will take you to the next the next stage. So just look out for it. I'll try as much as possible to drop it this night on the the Android channel, and then get to work on it. And the submission, I think deadline will be on Friday, so you have enough time to work that out. Okay, so thank you very much, guys. Once again, it's always a pleasure to have to share knowledge with you all, and you guys have been wonderful from day one. So have a wonderful night, and then we'll see you in the next class. Okay, thank you very much.